Mexico is a Pacific Puma in part because it has shown a willingness to tackle difficult reforms. But it is a controversial process, and no reform is more controversial than energy. To some, the reform is key for unlocking Mexico's growth potential. To others, it reflects the privatization of Mexico's soul. To hear the argument on how energy reform can kickstart Mexican growth, I sat down with former Mexican Finance Secretary Pedro Aspe.
When we did NAFTA 20 years ago, we thought that the Mexican economy could really compete in the world. And look what has happened. At the time, we were exporting $50 billion to the US, and today we export 6 times more, 300 billion. And the bulk of that is not commodities anymore. Mexico, for the first time, is an economy of middle size, really competitive on manufacturing and industrial products. But as you know, the quid pro quo at the political level when we did NAFTA 20 years ago was, okay, open everything except oil, energy, oil and gas and electricity. And today, what we have now is that in the US is going on the most important revolution, technological revolution on the energy with shale oil, shale gas, and North America has the lowest price of energy. And in Mexico, since we kept the public monopolies, we have not advanced as our Canadian and American friends. Mexico imports almost 50% of its consumption of gas. And why? Because we have not had the technology and we have not have developed the fields. So in Texas, for instance, you have shale gas. And it's exactly the same geology in Texas that in Nuevo León and in Coahuila. But we have 0 wells of gas. And in the US, you have 3,000. You have 3,000 per year, and we have 0. So what President Peña is proposing is energy reform, and in gas, that will open up. The second big problem that we have is the price, the incredibly expensive price of electricity for industrials and manufacturing in Mexico. The problem is that our public monopoly uses petroleum for the production of electricity. The companies in the US have been shifting from oil to gas. And since gas, the price of gas have come down from 10 to 4. So now your prices of electricity are falling while ours are going up. And the gap is now 50%. Yes, in Mexico, for industrial and manufacturing purposes, the price of electricity that a private investor faces is 56% above the prices in Texas.
Now, what do you think is the most important thing that the government get right in this current energy reform package?
I think there are 2 key things. First, you have to in a way, give Pemex an opportunity to keep on producing some of the things, and you have to give them more freedom to act, more freedom to hire, more freedom to invest, etc. At the same time, the rest of the energy sector will be open to foreign investors and to Mexican investors. So I think that balance between a wholly owned, government-owned Pemex and CFE, which remained at that, but then opening up, they will face competition for the first time. So if you tell me, what is the most important thing? They have to keep this balance so that we have a market, so that efficiency and productivity is the name of the game. And only those that are efficient and they are competitive will survive. That's what we want.
Do you forecast a major growth effect of a successful energy reform?
It's going to take time. It's not going to be very fast. In the first stage, it's only expectations. People that know, that have made studies on Mexico, they know that energy reform was the key. So if this passes, and when it passes, the first will be an expectations change. expectations will say, "Oh my God, the Mexicans finally they got energy reform, so they can now start developing fields, etc." But in order to go to the reality, it's going to take 3, 4, maybe 5 years. So it's going to be slow. And in fact, I think I praise President Peña because what is good is when you do a reform where you pay the political short-term costs for the benefit of your successor. So the following sexennium is going to see all the benefits. But some of the initial benefits, we will be seeing them in the 3rd, 4th, and 5th year of this sexennium.
And is energy reform the answer, or is it the first step?
It's the first step. You need also telecommunications reform, where you need to bring down the price of telecommunications in Mexico. Education reform, where you need to enhance the quality of education in basic education, especially in the southeast of the country. And finally, you need financial reform to access, so that credit access small and medium-sized enterprises. So these things will take time. I'm not going to tell you that next year we're going to see 5% growth, no, but we'll see the recovery to 3 to 4% next year, and slowly towards the end of the sexennium, we should be growing a little bit above 5%.
Dr. Aspe, thank you so much for your time. Greatly appreciated.
Happy about your visit, Sam. Best of all.